Hey, you guys, welcome. Deborah King Live. So excited to be spending some time with you on this so glorious time of the year. I love the holiday season. I just love it, love it, love it. So we're going to have fun today. I'm going to talk about the infamous Mercury Retrograde. We're going to sing songs and carols that you know and love. And let's get started.
The herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. With angelic hosts proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Hail the heaven-born Prince of Peace, hail the Son of Righteousness. Light and life to all he brings, risen with healing in his wings. Joyful all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the sky. With angelic hosts proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King.
Fun. I just love this time of year. In the old days, before the band, before last Christmas, I would start going to churches at about 3 in the afternoon on Christmas Eve, so I got enough music, right? I'd go to like 8 services between midday Christmas Eve and then, the end of the day, the next day. So this is so much fun. I'm so glad you're here with me. Now, you can call in today, call my red phone. Happy to answer your question. You call 888-DEB-SHOW. If you're international, it's deborahking.show/Deb-Show. Happy to help you. Just give me a call. And let's all just drop in for a minute. I'll say a few words to connect us to guidance, right? So, on all our behalf, I call in all the guides, whoever you like to work with, your higher self, your guardian angel. Maybe you have an ancestor or an animal totem, an ascended master. Perhaps you relate to a divine figure. Call them all in and ask them to be there for us and to guide us. And we pray especially for world peace at this time of year. And so it is. Okay, introduce the band over here on the ladies' side. Us girls, we got Lois Mahalia in lead position. Oh my goodness, what a treat it is to sing with her. So much fun, so much fun. We're all just learning so much from her. And Natalie Gelman, back from the quickest giving birth I've ever seen. Go Natalie. And Sophie right behind her, Sophie Holt, who's just really added a beautiful sound here. Boy, can she harmonize. And on the guys' side over here, we have Jack Lee, our music director. Go, Jack. And J.B. White, he's a mainstay in our group. We love J.B., and he's got such a sweet voice, doesn't he? Lee Rolag, today he's hot on the guitar. That is your main instrument, Lee, I can tell. Man, he can really play the guitar, and he's very quiet about his history, but he's played with all the big bands. And David Telegian, no slouch there, Dave, with his sax. Ooh, love that. And then always last but never least, our guy James on the drums and vocals. Another astonishing voice, really. All right, we'll have a really good time. Let's sing What Child Is This? Love all these songs.
1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3.
child is this who lay to rest on Mary's lap is sleeping, whom angels give an anthem sweet, while shepherds watch our keeping. This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him out, the babe, the Son of Mary. So bring him incense, gold, and myrrh. Come, peasant kings, to order. The King of Kings salvation brings. Let love in hearts enthrone him. This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him love, the babe, the Son of Mary.
Glad you came to my party. I'm having a really good time. So I want to talk about Mercury retrograde. Let's go do that right now. It's really interesting, by the way. Today, I want to talk to you about Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde affects our energy, it affects our relationships, and it has a lot to do with healing. Of course, I'm coming from a point of view of Vedic astrology. So the Vedas, what are they? They're 5,000-year-old texts that came from what is now India in terms of place in the world, and they have a lot of references about Mercury retrograde. So our next Mercury phase comes back in on this month, on December 28. It rings in the new year, and it lasts until the 18th of January. So as a student myself of all things Vedic, I know its importance to understand how important it is, the celestial cycle. So from our something's blooming out here. It must be the poinsettias. So from our vantage point, Mercury appears from down here on Earth, appears to be moving backwards or moonwalking, kind of like Michael Jackson, right? And Mercury is the fastest planet in our solar system. It's also the closest to the sun and has a year of only 88 days. Compare that to ours, 365. So our brain thinks that Mercury is moving backwards, 3 or 4 times per year, and that's because, again, its orbit is so much shorter than ours. Now, we know that Mercury does not actually move backwards physically in space. None of the planets do. But the retrograde force is still really powerful on us. So, again, there's usually 3 a year, but this year in 22, we lucked out. We got 4. So the last one, again, is just coming up. Now, in Mercury, in Vedic astrology, Mercury retrograde isn't necessarily a bad thing. According to Vedic teachings, life is intended to be here for our spiritual growth, and this growth is facilitated by our karma, and the idea that every thought, every action has a corresponding reaction, that's karma, right? So Mercury retrograde is just another opportunity for spiritual growth. And during this time period, the things you have to watch out for are communication, travel, right? But there is an upside. So any place you travel to during a retrograde is a place you will return. So if you're planning to travel during the 3 weeks from, December 29 to January 18, I'm planning on traveling at that time. Be sure where you're going is someplace you want to visit again or maybe even move to. So Mercury retrograde is a cycle that stirs up turbulence, conflict. In the Western tradition, the Roman god Mercury, you know him, he was called Hermes in Greek mythology. He was the messenger for all the other gods. And so he ruled communication, commerce, fertility, and stealing. Who knew, right? Now, when Mercury's in retrograde, you can expect to get problems with communications, travel, irritability, poor decision making, and impulse. You might lack impulse control. So there are even those who've looked at Mercury retrograde to see how it affects the stock market. Now let's talk about communication. Here's where you better mean what you say when you say it during these time periods, because here I'll give you an example. I have a student who wasn't very happy in her job because she believed she was underpaid, but was, afraid to quit. Maybe she couldn't find a new job. And during her retrograde, her boss told her that she had to cover for another colleague who was going on vacation. It would mean, for this gal, it would mean she had to step up and work 10 or 12-hour days, 6 days a week. And without no impulse control, right? She blurted out to her boss and said, "I'm not going to do that. I'm underpaid as it is." And picked up her purse, started walking for the door. And the boss was so shocked, she gave the gal a raise right then and there. Boom. So because she spoke her truth, right, it worked out for her. And she had reacted viscerally, right, without censoring herself. Now, that's classic Mercury retrograde kind of behavior, in communication. She said what she meant to say, and in her case, it paid off. Now, Mercury also rules travel, so cars, computers, anything with moving parts. What if your computer crashes, right in the retrograde, and they tell you at the shop it can't be fixed? Well, you can't wait. You need a computer to work. Another student of mine was in this position, and what she did was she rented a computer, used it through retrograde, loved it so much she ended up buying it. So that was a good solution, right? She didn't just leap out and buy one, which might have been problematic. So it worked out to her benefit. Now, Mercury rules the conscious mind, and any profession that deals with books, writing, speaking, teaching, my world, right? Publication. Remember, Mercury's the messenger. The left brain is the vehicle, and it usually speaks to us in terms of logic and reasoning. In Vedic astrology, which again is my field, when Mercury's in retrograde, your intuition deepens, and your coincidences, your synchronicities, they become more common. So Vedic philosophers and astrologers understood the power of Mercury long before we Westerners came along. We're just dabbling, right? There is a thinker, a social scientist at Brown University, a guy named Bertram Malley. He said that the study of Vedic astrology provides a powerful vocabulary and a real plethora of insights, okay, into life's challenges and opportunities. So one piece of advice you can consider that's really standard for this period of time is the 3 R's. Revise, review, reconsider. In other words, don't jump at something. Don't submit your manuscript. Don't sign a contract. Wait a little bit. Give your dream home, your creative project, your manuscript or screenplay the best chance ever by waiting till the end of Mercury retrograde. Sign your contract or submit your manuscript when the energy whipping through the universe isn't going to run into an obstacle for you. Now, if you don't and you move forward, there can be unexpected nuggets. Now, again, this is from a Vedic point of view, not Western. I'll tell you about a writer, student I have of mine, who got evicted during retrograde. Classic, right? So she went and camped at her folks' house for a month. And that's the bad news, right? She wasn't happy there. But while she was there, she met a publisher guy through her folks and got a good job writing copy for him. And so that was the nugget. That's the nugget she got that she wouldn't have had she stayed in the same apartment. Now, according to the Vedas, our futures are determined by destiny and free will. In fact, destiny creates our free will. This is very Vedic. Her destiny, if we look at her, was to live at her folks' house briefly, and that created the situation where she had the free will to end up working for this new situation. So all of us, everything really, according to the Vedas, is under the control of time. So we're pulled from one stage or level to the next. Each step determined by our karma. Now remember, karma is totally under your control. You have free will. Now I'm going to talk about more on that, and also I'm going to tell you about some celebrities who you know and love who've been born in Mercury retrograde, so you can think about it from that angle. But let's go sing another Christmas carol, okay? There's so much fun. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4.
Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Shepherds, why this jubilee? Why your joyous strains prolong? What the gladsome tidings be, which inspire your heavenly song? Gloria in excelsis Deo, Gloria.
Sweet. Hope you guys are singing along. Isn't this just the most fun of all, these songs this time of year? All right, let's go talk about the rest of Mercury retrograde, huh? As usual, I did some research, right? I always like to research these topics more deeply than what I currently know. And I was really interested to find out that people like Prince, Steve Jobs, Madonna, Lady Gaga, I mean, they're all born in Mercury retrograde. So I think we should take that as a signal to have the belief that it doesn't impinge us in any way, right? That's not a bad lineup. Now, that means we shouldn't feel daunted, right, or intimidated by just 3 weeks in our lives. The Sanskrit term for retrograde planets is Vakri, which translate in English as ambiguous, evasive, and indirect. Very fitting, right? So it's not wise to meet a retrograde planet head on. You want to not try to power through the vibrations. It's better to bend and be flexible so that you're more agile in responding to this agitated energy. So this wisdom is really mirrored in the asana, the Vakrasana, which you may know how to do, right? It's the beginner's pose in yoga. And you know how it gently twists your spine to strengthen it? It doesn't do it harshly. So the Vedas teach that we are driven by two forces, fate and our free will, our individual will. Now, if we're too passive during Mercury retrograde, we're going to have problems and arguments and upsets. But if we insist too much on having our own way during this phase, our energy becomes too forceful or even arrogant. We're likely to be banging our head against a wall and not accomplish a thing. And we may even find ourselves going backwards a bit, right, from our goal. So we're better off to keep in mind the wisdom of yoga and make a conscious effort to approach a time period of Mercury retrograde with openness and flexibility. Don't have any hard set ideas. No one expects you or anyone really in the Vakra asana pose to twist so hard that you like hurt your back, right? It's a gentle pose. It's designed to open energy pathways and release tension. So the same wisdom applies to us. We should be graceful and flexible rather than trying to move with the energy rather than try to stop it or defeat it or master it. So I'm going to talk about Vedic astrology in great depth. You're going to learn some amazing things that you probably don't yet know on my first show after the new year. It's January 10th, and I'm going to talk about individual karma, which is such a big question, right? So, you'll want to seek insight into the forces in your life, past, present, future. That's your life path, and how are you colliding or merging with the paths of others, other people, other animals, other forces, right? So karma is really misunderstood by most Westerners, by us. It means that every thought and every action creates a reaction that reverberates through time and space. The Vedic tradition also holds that the point of your life, that's why you're here, as I'm always teaching, is spiritual growth. That's why we're here. It's not accidental. We came for a reason. And, we enjoy our pleasures, our relationships, we have dreams that we're trying to execute on. But the fact is, a well-lived life is one where you reach higher spiritual enlightenment than when you came in. So the Vedas believe that the position of the planets and the stars exert an influence on your karma and therefore your journey to enlightenment. So the Vedas developed a whole system of insights and thought for personal and spiritual growth. It's a fascinating field. I've devoted a good part of my life to studying it. So it takes effort, humility, and self-reflection, right, for this wisdom to help you, whether it's Mercury retrograde or some other period of time. The stars and the planets absolutely influence our fate. We came from there, right? So we have to have the power and responsibility to study these forces and make choices in our lives. So if you have a snafu in a Mercury retrograde, and boy, I've had some, I bet you have too, don't panic. Remember, there's probably going to be a hidden nugget or a treasure there for you if you just remain open. And here, I'll tell you a story about one. So I have another student who had this cute dog, really cute bulldog named Abby, and a 2-year-old darling, and he tore a ligament. Took him to a vet, and the vet did the surgery the day before. That's called the shadow period. He did it the day before Mercury retrograde officially started. And the vet's assistant left a sponge in, screwed up, and they had to redo the surgery. But the student was smart. He waited until the end of retrograde, then went in for the surgery. No hitches, it went flawless, and the vet reversed all the charges. So it was kind of a win-win, after all. And in fact, Mars rules surgery. So if you're thinking of having a surgery, I would recommend you don't do it in a Mercury retrograde if you can avoid it, if you can. Again, I'll be going into depth about Vedic astrology on January 10. I'll be talking about karma in depth from that angle. So all we need to know today, though, for Mercury retrograde is that the stars and planets, as I said, have a huge influence on us, huge. And our karma is directly related to those stars and planets. In fact, this branch of science is the actual focal point of the Vedas. And I use the word science intentionally. The study of astrology in the Vedas is called Jyotish, and it's very profound, highly scientific. Our scientists are just starting to stumble on stuff that the Vedas knew 5,000 or 10,000 years ago. We can only hope that our James Webb Space Telescope can catch up to the Vedas someday, right? So remember, the stars themselves have no benevolence or animosity toward you. They're only sending out their energy, and how it affects you is the same as anything else in the natural world. For example, when I was a mountain climber and I went into the mountains, they had no attitude, pro or con. They were neutral toward me. If I incorrectly read them that day and I went into them in bad weather or loose rock, that was my mistake, not the mountains. Same thing here. The planets are inherently neutral to us. It's up to us to use common sense about the effect of their movement on us and act accordingly. So again, Mercury retrograde is just another cycle, like a lunar phase, and has its own protocols, has its own guidelines. But remember, it rules communication, which spills over into a large part of our lives, right? But even if there's a snafu, as mentioned, the long-term impact is often quite positive. You just have to be, really open to it. All right. One more thing. The retros last about 3 weeks. You can keep track of them on your phone or, website. It's easy. I would suggest that you can plan your trips, your weddings, your engagements, your moving, selling your house kind of things, buying a car, buying a computer, when to publish your book. Your friends and family may think that you're wasting your time, but if you're watching me and you're interested in this, you know it's a fact that it's very helpful. Another thing to remember is that people you haven't seen in years will reappear in a retrograde. I'm sure your ex, your childhood friend, a former partner, and people you haven't been able to find online that now you can mend fences. So 3 coming up next year. There's December 29. There's one that starts. There's one April, third week April. There's one in August. And there's a 4th one on December 12th. So it's going to be another big year of retrograde. The universe is making a course correction in our lives during these time periods. Again, it's all about karma and how it affects us and our soul's purpose. And maybe intuitively we know what our course is, our path, but in this fast-paced life, we tend to misplace that information, don't we? We get on a detour. So don't fear the retrograde. Embrace it. Think of it as an epiphany, and do your own kind of moonwalking. All right. Let's go sing another song. I got a beautiful one for you here. So, love listening to Lois sing. Here we go.
1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3.
The first Noel, the angels they say, was was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they keeping the sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. No well, no well, no well, no well. Born is the King of Israel. They looked up, saw a star shining in the east, beyond them far, and to the earth it gave great light, and so it continued both day and night. No well, no well, no well, no well. Born is the King of Israel. No well, no well, no well, no well. Born is the King of Israel.
Oh my God, that brought tears to my eyes. Oh, what a beautiful song. What a voice, Lois.
Thank you.
Okay, take some calls from you, huh? My little red phone. Hi, this is Deborah. How can I help you?
Hi, Deborah. This is Jenna from Wisconsin.
Hi, Jenna. Happy holiday.
Hi.
Happy holidays, huh?
You too. Yeah, beautiful set. I love the poinsettias.
Thank you.
I just had a quick question. I've been working with a functional medicine doctor for quite a few months. I had an issue with my tongue that they couldn't figure out and discovered that I have candida overgrowth and also some minor thyroid issues. So my question is, I've been on an antifungal for months now, and I'm just taking a break from it for the past week, but it's a hard thing to test if it's resolved. And I guess I'm just wondering if you have any insight into it.
Can you tell me the nature of the antifungal?
Which one it is?
Uh-huh.
Like
Is it a
Propanol?
homeopathic or is it a prescription
no,
or?
it's actually a prescription.
Uh-huh, okay.
Then they had me also on a bunch of supplements and herbals as well for,
Uh-huh.
as an addition to the candida overgrowth. Then I had some of the bad, quote unquote, bad bacteria in my gut that has also
Uh-huh.
grown excessively from the candida for so many years.
Uh-huh. Has there been improvement with the treatment?
I feel like there has. I feel to a certain extent some stuff is my thoughts. So now I'm getting to the point where I'm trying to wonder how much I need to keep taking the medication, or it's because I can't really retest.
I'm
Or I
picking.
can just
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm picking up. It feels like fear about the treatment. Is that possible? Is that correct?
I think for me, I go back with fear of foods. Like, if I eat this, is it going to make it worse, or when can I go back to eating normal?
Uh-huh.
And I think the frustrating part is there's no real test that can be done to know if things are resolved.
Uh-huh. I don't think it's quite resolved, but it's very it's very tied to a left brain belief system. I'm trying to pick up on exactly what it is. Something to do with the treatment, the drug.
Okay, and that I was a pharmacist, and
oh well,
really
that explains it.
I step on all the medications, so I think in the process I developed a fear of taking medication.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, no, it's very strong. I can feel it.
I took them on without ingesting.
Yeah, I would.
So now I struggle to actually take them.
Why don't you just stop taking everything for 3 weeks and see what happens?
Okay, yeah. I mean, I've been taking it for months, and I just...
Right. That's a long time.
Last 4 days, I need a little holiday every now and then.
Right. And what, and 3 weeks is plenty, I think. Let me just drop in one more level, because I just got below the level of the mind. There's something else going on there. What was the sign on your tongue? Was it swollen?
No, it's hard to describe because it would change appearance all the time. Like sometimes there was almost like cuts in it.
Did you notice it because it felt different, or did you look at it in a mirror? I mean,
no, it was visual. It was visual, and it's probably been over 10 years. And when it first happened, I mean, I went to ENTs, I went to oral surgeon, I went to like everybody I could think of, and nobody could tell me what it was.
Yeah, it definitely could be candida overgrowth. Mm-hmm. I would just take a break. I would say, you know what, I'm going to take a break through the holiday, and I'll readdress this the first week of the new year. Give yourself a break. Feels like you've been too hard on yourself, Jenna.
Yeah, could be very true.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so then I'll just keep working on my thought process as well, because I think that plays a role.
Be kinder to yourself. But you don't have to make yourself do this. That's what I'm hearing.
Perfect.
All
That's
right.
helpful. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Glad you called. You take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. Hi, this is Deborah. How can I help you?
Thank you so much. You're very welcome, Fred.
Hi. My name's Sandy, and I live in Washington and Camino Island. And I've had a chronic issue with my sinuses. And right now I've been seeing a ear, nose, and throat doctor, and she's suggesting a balloon ablation to kind of open things up more, and I'm wondering if that's the right path.
Is she board certified?
Yes, she is.
Yeah, it feels like a very appropriate treatment for you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And she's the one who does the work, the actual work?
Yes, she is the one that does the actual work.
Yeah, no, it feels really appropriate, and she feels guided.
Does she? Okay.
Yeah, and I think you'll be a lot more comfortable when you're done.
Well, that's Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. I
Yeah.
felt pretty good about her, but you never hurt to get some confirmation.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, no, go for it, Sandy.
Okay.
All right. Glad you
Excellent.
called. You take
All right.
care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, guys, it's a little cool out here. I'm a little bit worried about my band freezing over there. It's a lot warmer when we're singing, so I'm going to head over and we'll do another song here. Remember what we're doing next here, huh? Oh, yeah, love this song. Wow. Nice and warm when I'm singing.
Yeah.
We three kings of Orient are, bearing gifts we traverse afar. Field and fountain, moor and mountain, following yonder star. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Frankincense to offer have I, incense tones of deity nigh. Hallelujah, hallelujah, ever to heaven's replies. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light.
Fun. Hey, just to back up for a minute, if you're interested in astrology, by the way, and you're looking forward to my talk on it on January 10, you might want to take a look at my astral course, deborahking.com/astral, where I take you out there into the stars. Okay, you might find that pretty interesting if that's something you're interested in. And we have another song that we just can't resist singing at this time of year. We know you definitely are going to sing along with this one, okay?
Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, yeah.
Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born.
While shepherds kept their watching over silent flocks by night, behold, throughout the heavens there shone a holy light.
Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain
rang out the angels' chorus that hailed our Savior's birth. Yeah.
Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born.
One more time.
Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. That Jesus Christ is born. That Jesus Christ is born.
Oh, Lois, you just don't have enough energy there, girl.
I love it.
Oh, I can't believe I've been singing out here for a year with these people. So much fun. Hey, I want to tell you I have a workshop coming up. It's in January. It's January, I think, 9 through 11. It's a writer's workshop. If there's one thing I know how to do, it's write. Okay, so go to /bestseller if you're interested in it. It's getting pretty full. I'm not letting everybody in because I want to be sure I can focus on the writers that are there. It's going to be really fun. You will, if you think you have a book in you, you want to come to this deal. Okay, you should really check it out. And, you know, I have a show again in 2 weeks. If you thought this was great, come back in 2 weeks on December 20, where we'll have a lot more singers. We're going to just blow the top off the sky, I guess, here. It's going to be really fun. We're doing some amazing holiday music that you want to be part of. You absolutely want to be part of. All right, until I see you Tuesday on December 20, you take care.
1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4.
The herald angels sing, glory to